Thomas Cream, originally born in Glasgow, spent his formative years outside Quebec City, following his family's relocation there in 1854. His educational journey led him to the now-defunct La Chute Academy, prior to enrolling at McGill University in Montreal. In 1876, he achieved an MD.Cm degree with a focus on chloroform, composing his thesis on the subject. His pursuit of advanced medical training took him to London's St. Thomas's Hospital Medical School, where he augmented his qualifications as both a physician and surgeon in 1878, further deepening his expertise. In his quest to serve underserved communities as a practitioner, Cream briefly practiced in Des Moines, Iowa, before settling in London, Ontario. During his time residing in Waterloo, Quebec, in 1876, Cream's path crossed with Flora Brooks, initiating a courtship between them. Tragically, this relationship took a distressing turn as Brooks became pregnant subsequent to Cream's assurances of marriage. Faced with this situation, Cream's misguided attempt at performing an abortion resulted in grave harm to Brooks, leaving her in a severely weakened state. Following his ill-fated endeavor, Cream tried to flee to Montreal, only to be apprehended by Flora's father, who compelled Cream to return and fulfill his commitment to marry her. Curiously, shortly after their wedding, Cream abruptly departed for England to continue his medical studies. Regrettably, this marked the final interaction between Cream and the Brooks family, as he vanished from their lives entirely. Flora Brooks, though she experienced a partial recovery, succumbed to consumption in 1877. Returning to North America in 1878, Cream wasted no time in establishing his medical practice in London. However, his actions quickly caught the attention of Ontario's Medical Act authorities, who accused him of practicing medicine without a valid license. Ultimately, Cream admitted his guilt in this matter. Curiously, this legal setback did little to dissuade patients from seeking his services. The year 1879 marked a chilling incident as Catherine Hutchinson Gardner was discovered lifeless in a privy behind Cream's office located at 204 Dundas Street. Tragically, Gardner, who was pregnant at the time, had fallen victim to a gruesome murder, the weapon being a handkerchief soaked in chloroform. Intriguingly, Gardner had approached Cream seeking assistance with an abortion, only to be met with refusal. Instead of providing help, Cream encouraged her to falsely accuse a local businessman as the father of her unborn child. Cream's account took a dubious turn as he claimed that Gardner had resorted to threats of self-poisoning after he declined to perform the abortion. According to him, she had penned a letter in which she implicated the businessman as the responsible party. However, both Gardner's family and her roommate vehemently disputed this narrative. They pointed out discrepancies between the letter's signature and handwriting and Gardner's authentic script, leading to the letter's dismissal as an outright forgery. Despite a swirl of rumors and compelling evidence suggesting Cream's involvement, law enforcement authorities inexplicably refrained from taking further action. Regrettably, the case of Catherine Hutchinson Gardner's tragic demise remained unresolved, leaving unanswered questions and a lingering sense of injustice. Setting up his medical practice in close proximity to Chicago's red light district, Cream ventured into providing illegal abortions to prostitutes. His activities raised suspicions, and in August 1880, an investigation was launched following the death of Marianne Faulkner. Cream had reportedly performed a procedure on her, yet due to insufficient evidence, he managed to evade legal consequences. However, this would not be the last time he faced scrutiny. In December 1880, another patient named Miss Stack met her demise following treatment by Cream. Disturbingly, after her death, Cream resorted to attempting to blackmail the pharmacist who had filled the prescription for her. April 1881 brought forth another tragedy as Alice Montgomery lost her life to strychnine poisoning after undergoing an abortion in a rooming house not far from Cream's practice. While the case was officially deemed a murder, its resolution remained elusive, though Cream's proximity and the circumstances cast suspicion on him. A pivotal moment occurred on July 14, 1881, when Daniel Stott, residing in Boone County, Illinois, passed away due to strychnine poisoning. Cream had supplied him with a supposed remedy for epilepsy. Though the death was initially attributed to natural causes, Cream penned a letter to the coroner, falsely placing blame on the pharmacist. This maneuver led to Cream's arrest. Mrs. Julia A. Stott, reportedly Cream's mistress, was also implicated in the conspiracy, allegedly procuring poison from Cream to eliminate her husband. In a bid to escape punishment, she cooperated with authorities, shifting culpability onto Cream. Consequently, Cream stood alone in the face of a murder conviction and received a life sentence in Joliet prison. Daniel Stott's resting place bears a somber testament, a tombstone that reads, "Daniel Stott died June 12, 1881, aged 61 years, poisoned by his wife and Dr. Cream." A turn of events arrived in July 1891, when Cream's imprisonment came to an end. Governor Joseph W. Pfeiffer intervened, commuting Cream's sentence after his brother pleaded for leniency, allegedly utilizing bribery to sway the authorities' decision. Funded by an inheritance from his deceased father in 1887, Cream embarked on a voyage to England, arriving in Liverpool on October 1, 1891. His arrival followed 3 years after the infamous Jack the Ripper killings had taken place. Settling in London, he secured lodgings at 103 Lambeth Palace Road. At this time, Lambeth was grappling with widespread poverty, minor criminal activity, and a prevalence of prostitution. Ellen Nellie Donworth, a 19-year-old prostitute, became a focal point in Cream's sinister activities on October 13, 1891. After receiving 2 letters from Cream, she agreed to meet him. He presented her with a drink from a bottle, resulting in her falling gravely ill that night. Tragically, she succumbed to strychnine poisoning. Cream, adopting the alias A. O'Brien, detective, took an audacious step during her inquest by writing to the coroner, offering to unveil the murderer's identity in exchange for a substantial £300,000 reward. Additionally, he targeted W. F. D. Smith, the owner of W. H. Smith Bookstalls, accusing him of the crime and demanding hush money. Continuing his spree, Cream crossed paths with Matilda Clover, a 27-year-old prostitute, on October 20th. He furnished her with pills, directing her to consume 4 before retiring for the night. As the hours unfolded, Clover underwent agonizing and violent spasms, ultimately passing away 2 hours later. Attributed initially to heart failure linked to alcohol withdrawal, her demise escaped suspicion. Posing as M. Malone, Cream contacted renowned physician William Broadbent, asserting evidence of his involvement in Clover's death and demanding £25,000 in exchange for his silence. This correspondence prompted Broadbent to involve Scotland Yard. A plan was devised to ensnare the blackmailer during the money exchange, but the trap yielded no apprehensions. Returning to London on April 2, 1892, after a sojourn in Canada, Cream re-engaged in his nefarious pursuits. There, he encountered Louise Harvey, a prostitute, and furnished her with 2 pills, urgently insisting she ingest them immediately. Sensing danger, Harvey feigned compliance, but discreetly discarded the pills from a bridge into the River Thames. Subsequent to his encounter with Harvey, Cream crossed paths with 2 more prostitutes, Alice Marsh, 21, and Emma Shrivel, 18, on April 11th. After spending the night with them in their flat, Cream offered each woman 3 pills and a can of tinned salmon before departing. Tragically, both women perished that very night due to strychnine poisoning. Cream's audacious tactics of blackmailing through his letters did not go unnoticed, effectively thrusting him into the spotlight. However, this strategy turned out to be his own undoing. While the police promptly exonerated those falsely accused, they recognized a significant detail within the letters themselves. The anonymous correspondent had pointedly mentioned the death of Matilda Clover, whose demise had been officially attributed to natural causes associated with her drinking. This realization prompted law enforcement to identify the letter writer as the enigmatic serial killer that had garnered media attention as the Lambeth Poisoner. A pivotal encounter transpired when Cream encountered a New York City policeman who happened to be visiting London and was familiar with the case of the Lambeth Poisoner. Cream guided the officer through locations tied to the victims, inadvertently arousing suspicion. This overseas exchange eventually reached the ears of a British police officer, raising concerns about Cream's intimate familiarity with the ongoing investigation. Scotland Yard swiftly initiated surveillance on Cream, uncovering his regular interactions with prostitutes. An investigative dragnet extended to the United States and Canada, unearthing his checkered past, which included a murder conviction for poisoning in 1881. The wheels of justice began turning on June 3, 1892, when Cream found himself arrested for Matilda Clover's murder. Subsequently, on July 13, he formally faced charges for the deaths of Clover, Donworth, Marsh, and Shrivel, the attempted murder of Harvey, and extortion. Notably, Cream's kit containing both medicines and poisons was taken as evidence, now housed in the Crime Museum. Throughout the legal proceedings, Cream stubbornly clung to his claim of being Dr. Thomas Neill, not acknowledging his true identity as Thomas Neill Cream. Newspapers, in their coverage of the case, often referred to him as Dr. Neill. During the inquest overseen by Athelstan Braxton Hicks in July 1892 regarding Matilda Clover's death, a letter purportedly signed by Jack the Ripper was read aloud. This letter declared the innocence of Dr. Neill, eliciting laughter from those present, including Cream himself. Nonetheless, the jury's verdict unequivocally pointed to Thomas Neill as the perpetrator of Matilda Clover's strychnine-induced demise. The trial, spanning from October 17 to October 21, 1892, reached its culmination. Following a remarkably brief deliberation of merely 12 minutes, the jury rendered their verdict, finding him guilty on all charges. Presiding over the case, Justice Henry Hawkins subsequently pronounced the death sentence upon him. In an astonishingly short span of time, barely a month after his conviction, Cream met his fate. On November 15, he faced the gallows at Newgate Prison, with James Billington executing the hanging. Conforming to customary practices for executed criminals, his body was interred on the same day beneath the prison's flagstones, joining the resting places of others who met the same end, indicated solely by a solitary initial. Nonetheless, in 1902, his remains underwent exhumation and were relocated to London's Municipal Cemetery. There, he was laid to rest in an unmarked grave within Section 339, where he remains in eternal repose. Billington asserted that Cream's final words on the scaffold were purportedly, "I am Jack the." Billington seized upon this alleged utterance to assert his role in executing the infamous Victorian serial killer, Jack the Ripper. However, these assertions stand on shaky ground as there is no corroborative evidence from attending police officials or other witnesses to validate this claim. Furthermore, the timeline of Cream's imprisonment places him securely behind bars during the Ripper murders in 1888, making any suggestion of his being Jack the Ripper untenable. Ripperologist Donald Bell ventured into speculation, suggesting that Cream might have secured release through bribes before his official term end. Sir Edward Marshall Hall also proposed an unlikely theory that someone resembling Cream had served his prison sentence in his stead. Such notions, however intriguing, sharply diverge from concrete evidence presented by Illinois authorities, contemporary newspapers, Cream's legal representatives, his family, and even Cream himself.